I want you to meet Ann Coulter, who is an avenging angel or avenging devil, depending on. Look, I walked down the street in Santa Monica with you yesterday, and I thought I'd get shot just by being near you.
That was very brave.
Very brave.
Collateral damage, right? At the risk of offending all my liberal friends, I will hug you and say you look beautiful.
Thank you, so do you. It's good
Nice
to be
to
back.
see you again.
Nice
Good
to see you again.
And you know, I understand that Steve actually picks on you like he picks on us. He picks on you, right? Is that true?
How can you not?
It was so much fun. We'd still be sitting at that restaurant if I hadn't had a radio interview.
So you two went out on a date. Does she eat? Because you are so. Is it nervous energy? Is that why you are so skinny?
All right. She not only ate, she took home what was left over.
Oh, see,
no, wait, I'm not finished.
This has nothing to do with politics.
No,
I hate people like that.
No.
You're making every woman hate her, by
Just
the
a
way.
moment.
That's true.
Josh,
Yeah,
I'm not
he's wrecking
finished.
me.
I'm not finished. She took home what she ate. What didn't eat. She took home
What you
I
didn't
didn't eat. And I think there was somebody at another table whose food suddenly disappeared. She wrapped it all up and left. That is a conservative conserving, right?
It's so annoying.
I've heard rumors that effect. People are always assuming I do not eat. And on one of these book tours, they were bringing up when she had a lettuce leaf or something, and one of my ex-boyfriends emailed me and said, I'm going to write in and complain about this. I used to have to take out a loan just to take you to dinner.
Well, I think you have crazy nervous energy. Is that what it is?
Yes, I read the New York Times. It makes me so angry. It burns off calories.
The New York Times diet. Okay.
Yeah.
How many people,
I recommend it.
How many people here came up to you and said, you know, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you even slightly, but I've gotten to like you. People have said that to you here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly you.
Well, yeah, that's true. I don't agree with you mostly. No, I said yesterday, we talked about it, and you know how I am. I am a plague on all their houses. That's how I am, you know. And you're all silly to me. You really are.
Yes.
But I did say I agree with you. I think I said 19%, 31%.
I got you up to 31.
You got me up to 31%.
Yeah.
But
Oh, no, I'm more like less than 2%.
We had to feed him some margaritas.
I was going to say, did he drink? Was he drinking at lunch? Because I don't know this to happen with him.
People were shocked, first of all, that I went to lunch with anybody.
Yeah.
To start with.
You went to lunch?
Well, brunch. Yeah, we'll call brunch.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but it kind of lasted into dinner.
Okay, now I kind of more of a liberal. I voted for Schwarzenegger. Shoot me now. See, I vote for.
Yeah, you are a liberal then.
I vote for a Republican and see what happens. But I get upset with you when you say things like liberals help terrorists. Liberals love terrorists.
No, I don't think I've said that.
You said liberals cushion the way for terrorists to attack this country.
Yes, but I was citing facts, and that is the hysteria, for example. And by the way, you are going like 4 books back now. But when
I'm sorry, I'm still ticked about that one. I'm sorry.
And by the way,
7,
Dorothy,
9,
so
what are
that
we
means
up to?
that means
8.
that was 2 years ago. 4 books.
7 best
No, but remember when the imams out in Minnesota, they get on the plane, they ask for extra long seat belts, and then they scream about civil rights violations. Anyone who is defending that and saying, oh no, you shouldn't be looking at the praying imams asking for their seat belts and behaving suspiciously, that is creating a cushion for the next attack. Of course that's who you're going to look at.
And what you're writing about here is mobs and crowds.
Yes.
And you're saying that this mob mentality that we have here really started in the 60s with the civil rights movement, I guess?
Well, sort of in this country. That's when it sort of took on a
started with the French Revolution.
Yes.
Okay.
I take it back to the French Revolution.
But I can talk, because I was there, you weren't.
But I read a lot.
And I asked you a question yesterday, because I read your book. I apologize to my friends, but I read your book. And
it's a good book, isn't it?
I have a question for you about that, and that is, how do you define, and I asked you this yesterday, Tahrir Square? Are those mobs?
Yeah.
Are those crowds good for democracy or bad?
I write about American mobs, but I would say that no, they are not good. That is not generally how a good government is installed. That isn't how our government was installed.
So the people on the streets in the Arab countries where there is the Arab so-called spring,
mostly bad.
So some are okay, though?
I think the one where Netta was shot, I mean, that was utterly, that's in Iran.
Yes.
For one thing, it's Ahmadinejad. It was clear what the complaint was, much like in the American Revolution, which I talk about, comparing to the French Revolution. The demands were clear. The reasons were given. That we celebrate the Declaration of Independence. We weren't just lunatics running around on the street putting, heads on pikes.
What about Egypt?
But Netta, well, let's just let the one I like. Yeah. In that one, Ahmadinejad had won in some pro-Ahmadinejad districts by more than 100%. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, that was Al Franken in Minnesota. But it was very bad that in Iran too.
You
so
have
it's
like
very
Tourette's
clear.
when it comes to Al Franken. Do you notice that just has to come out?
So it's very clear what it was they were
Darn it,
protesting.
he's good enough, and people like him.
They wanted a recount. They're on the street. It's both men and women. They're not shooting guns into the air. They're not smashing windows, as has happened in an awful lot of the other Arab street protests. So the Iranian street protests, I think, were not a mob. That was the one we should have supported. And by the way, that was the only one President Obama did not support.
What would you have said to the original Tea Party people in Massachusetts?
I'm glad you asked. An interesting little fact in this book is that the Tea Party wasn't very
If you're glad he asked, then I'm sorry he asked. But finish your answer.
I think you will be fascinated by this. And by the way, you can dazzle your Tea Party friends. Our founding fathers weren't wild about the original Boston Tea Party because they were worried it looked like the action of a mob, even though it wasn't. And Paul Revere and Sam Adams, two instigators, defended it by saying this wasn't a mob action. We replaced the lock on the ship. The only thing that was destroyed was the tea.
What would you have said then?
I think I probably would have agreed with Benjamin Franklin, who said we've got to take up a collection to repay the India Tea Company, which they did. Because we lost the support of Edmund Burke. You know, our supporters back in England who were supporting independence, suddenly they couldn't do it because we're destroying private property. And by the way, it led to nothing. It was another 3 years.
Maybe come back to this century right now. What's happening in Washington right now?
Yes.
I hate all of it because it's so much posturing and so much is BS and so much is about trying to do the right thing for the elections that are coming up, et cetera.
Something's got to be done.
Where do you come down on this? Yeah.
See, you're not that bad. And
I'm not that bad.
Specifically, I know that's a very warm compliment from me to a liberal. That's as warm as it gets. No, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is the perfect example of what the problem is here. Remember those initiatives he had?
Yes.
Making the tiniest incremental cuts to government workers' benefits. He gets slaughtered, and that's it. From that moment on, he is a wholly owned subsidiary of the public sector unions. This is what Republicans are worried about in Congress. And purists on the outside, I don't know if you've seen the McConnell deal, but I think it's a stroke of genius.
Just clarify, he says he wants to give it to the president alone, and the president can decide on his own, and therefore leave him to hang if it goes back.
But plus cuts, that's the crucial thing. The Democrats want to cut nothing. They just want everyone to work for the government.
See, that is not true. That is absolutely not true.
They will. Well, okay, we'll see how they fight this deal, because what McConnell says is we will give you authority to raise the debt ceiling by about $2 trillion, but you have to include $2 trillion in cuts. Then we will decide whether to accept them or not. But we're finally going to get Democrats, and Obama in particular, to tell us what they will cut. Because right now they're just able to sit back and say, "Oh, Republicans, tell us your cuts."
Question. Let me quote Jon Stewart, who won't have you on his show.
Correct.
He will not.
Yeah,
she has interviewers, so she won't do interviews with them.
No, but
too,
let me get back.
No,
let me get back
I'll do
to
any show.
Hey, get back here.
Hey,
I just did
you're
Bill
doing this
Maher.
one.
I'm here with her.
That doesn't count.
I'm
You
just
love
kidding. I
Bill
love you.
Maher.
And I love you.
Back to the question.
All right, Steve.
He said a line that we tend to repeat, and that is, can the sun ever shine for a moment on Barack Obama in your eyes?
Oh, sure.
When?
He kept Guantanamo open. I support that. He hasn't raised taxes. I
But he
support
didn't want
that.
to keep Guantanamo.
I think he has
Bin Laden.
Bin Laden. I think he has a lovely family. I think he's an attractive, articulate politician. I think he's wrecking the country. And yet all that is true.
So you can be charming and wreck the country. Charming doesn't matter.
Correct.
Okay.
So what happens?
Many people,
Did you like Bush? Be honest.
I liked him on the war on terrorism. I liked him for not raising taxes, and that's about it.
I know you like Chris Christie, although I doubt he's going to run, even though you said you were going to kidnap him and force him to run.
Yes.
Yes, but
I'm
if he does not
parachuting in.
run, what are you going to do? Romney? Is that okay?
I think I will tell you right here, and you can play this back and laugh at me someday, but I don't think you will. I think we're all pretending that there's a race, and we're all going to talk about Michelle Bachmann and Sarah Palin and Pawlenty.
It's Romney.
It's going to be Romney. The vice presidential candidate is going to be Rubio, and the only thing that will change that is if the amazing star of the universe, Chris Christie, jumps in after I parachute into the governor's mansion and hold him at gunpoint. If that happens,
you said
Christie
that,
will be our
and
nominee.
even your good buddy Sean Hannity was like, Don't say stuff like
Oh,
that.
did he end up not cutting it?
No, that was in there.
He was threatening to cut it. I said, Sean.
He said, don't say you're going to hold a politician at gunpoint. This is your friend. Do you ever say things that later you're like, well, maybe I shouldn't have gone that far?
No, you know what I say later is I am never pre-taping with Sean. It's got to be live because he's
But it was
constantly
on.
cutting
No,
my
he
best
couldn't,
lines.
but he left that in.
Bless him.
Yeah.
He is my friend.
So do you think that any chance there would be someone from the Tea Party? Do you think that has the possibility of happening, or you just don't
Well,
see
Rubio's a Tea
Yeah,
Party
Rubio,
guy.
yeah.
And he's from Florida, a swing state,
Yes.
and he's been fantastic, and he's an Hispanic. He's the vice presidential candidate. I don't care who
And
the
he's a
presidential
buddy of your
candidate
buddy
is.
Sean Hannity's.
But
Everybody's friends with Sean.
Oh, okay.
He even likes Democrats.
All right, and it's over. This interview is over, okay?
Well, I'm coming back in a few weeks, and if I have to go crash a party with Kim Kardashian to get back on this show, I am going to be back.
You know what I promise you? I will, because I didn't know you were coming on today.
Yeah.
They told me this morning. I will read the book if you're coming back. Okay. I don't want
How
to.
many
See, you think I
But
just
I'm
bring
going
it to
to.
promote it and hold it
How
up?
many
I bring it to
people-
give it to you.
French Revolution, the Bastille. How many people were in the Bastille?
6. Amazing,
When
isn't
they
it?
charged the Bastille, there were 6 people, and what were they doing?
They in the Bastille, they were shutting it, in the process of shutting it down, but based on rumors.
They were
and,
eating dinner.
Well, breakfast. They brought them in
Yeah,
for breakfast,
okay.
but the crowds
So were there
outside thought they were
sauces?
being held
just a
hostage.
little gem that you can get from her book. If you want.
So French, there must have been sauces.
Thank you, Ann Coulter.
Thank you.
All right, you can clear the building now.
Okay.
The book is called Demonic, and how the liberal mob
You know what?
or the enlightened group of people who are trying to get change.
Don't have it back, because then I'm going to have to really read the book.